In 2018, I decided to make the switch from a traditional 401k to a Roth 401k. In this video, I'll be going over exactly what a Roth 401k is, how it's different from a traditional, the pros and cons, and whether or not you should make the switch as well. Hi everyone, this is Camilla, the Focus Spender, and welcome to my channel where I teach you how to get out of debt, save more money, and invest so that you can build wealth and leave a lasting legacy. So let's actually start with what a 401k is. A 401k is an employee-sponsored retirement plan that allows you to save for your retirement. The money that you contribute is invested in the stock market, and once you hit retirement age of 59 and a half at the earliest, you can withdraw your money so that you can live off when you retire. So for our parents and our grandparents, they may have had jobs that had pension plans where they didn't actually have to do anything, but when they retired, they were receiving a pension payment. But for us, there are barely any companies that do pension plans, so you have to be responsible and save for your own retirement, especially because we don't know what Social Security is going to do by the time we retire. So you really have to take this responsibility on yourself. Now, for 401k programs, the max you can do is $20,500 for the year 2022. And if you're over the age of 50, you can actually contribute an additional $6,500, so your max is $27,000, and that's part of the catch-up contribution. Depending on the company that you work for, they may match your contribution anywhere from 2% to 100%. Or they might even just contribute without you having to do anything, which is phenomenal. But it really depends on your company. You may actually work for a company that doesn't match at all or doesn't allow you to have a 401k program. And if that's the case, we'll talk about that later on in the video. So with a traditional 401k, you are making your contributions pre-tax, which allows you to reduce your taxable income. And then when you retire, you will be then taxed on the withdrawals that you make. So now let's talk about a Roth 401k. A Roth 401k, in all honesty, is exactly like a traditional 401k. And the fact that you're doing it through your job, the max contribution, whether you're under 50 or over 50, is the same as a traditional 401k. But the biggest difference is how you make your contributions. So with a traditional 401k, you're contributing pre-tax. With a Roth 401k, you are contributing after tax, just like a Roth IRA. So it's post-tax money. Now, when you retire with a Roth 401k, you're not paying any taxes on your withdrawals. So if you invested properly or you just got really lucky and now your 401k is $5, $6, $7 million, you're never paying taxes on that money. Whatever you put in at the beginning was already taxed, so you don't have to worry about how big it grows or what tax bracket you fall into once you retire, because you're never going to be taxed on that money again. And honestly, that is my biggest reason for switching over from a traditional to a Roth 401k. I wanted to get my taxes out of the way and do them now and then never have to pay taxes ever on that money again. I know my tax rate now, and if I continue to set up the life that I want to have when I retire, my tax bracket will likely increase as opposed to decreasing in retirement. So I wanted to make sure I pay the taxes now as opposed to later on in life where I may actually end up being in a higher tax bracket. So let's go into the pros and cons of a Roth 401k. So the first pro is that it could allow you to pay less taxes overall, especially if you're currently in a lower tax bracket than you will be once you retire. So if you are early in your career and you're making $40,000, $50,000, and by the time you retire, you're going to be making $150,000, $200,000, whatever, you will be paying less taxes overall if you pay the taxes now as opposed to when you retire. The second pro is that your money will grow tax-free as opposed to having your money in a savings account where you earn some interest and every year you might be paying taxes on that interest. And the final pro is that your distributions will not be taxed once you retire. So like I said earlier, for me, I wanted to make sure I paid taxes on my money now, and so that no matter how large my account grows, I will not be paying taxes once I retire. So let's go over the cons. So the first con is that your contributions are made after you are taxed. So if you are someone that is strapped for cash and you need to have every single dollar that you possibly can in your paycheck to live your life, then you might not want to make the switch from pre-tax to post-tax, because if you're paying $100 into your 401k program right now, pre-tax, your paycheck might be $1,000. But if you make that switch, your paycheck is going to go down. Maybe it's going to go down $10, maybe it's going to go down $20. But once you start doing things after taxes, then your paycheck is going to get smaller. So if you are strapped for cash, this is probably not something that you should consider doing at this time. And the second con is that it's not going to reduce your overall taxable income, so that when you're paying taxes, you can't write it off or get the benefits of lowering your taxes throughout the year. After considering these pros and cons, you might be thinking, now which one is best for me? Now, as the saying goes, personal finances are personal. So you really have to look at your situation. You have to think about your cash flow, and you also need to think about what stage of life you're in. Let's say you are someone who is close to retirement, but you have not been saving for retirement at all, and you're much likely going to fall into a lower tax bracket when you retire. You probably should stick with the traditional 401k and just really ramp up how much you contribute. If you are someone that's younger in your career, but cash flow is tight, you might want to just stick with the traditional and do what you can. But if you look at your life and know that you can handle the dip in cash flow, you know that your current salary is not where you're going to stay and that it's going to continue to rise, this is something that you should possibly consider. There's also another option where if you have been contributing to a traditional 401k and decide, hey, I want to do this Roth 401k instead, but I have all this money sitting in my traditional account and it's going to grow and grow and I'm going to end up paying taxes, you can start to convert your money over from a traditional to a Roth 401k. I am not telling you to do this because it will have tax implications. You will have to pay taxes on that money right now, not when you retire, if you make that switch. Some people have done it where they just do it in buckets, or they might, switch over a little bit at a time so that they're not getting the same tax hit or tax penalty that they would if they did all at once. So this is just something that you can consider doing if you already have money in your traditional 401k that you would like to convert over to a Roth 401k. I personally decided that it was not a big issue. I said there's money in my traditional 401k, there's money in my Roth 401k. So when I retire, some portion of my money will be taxed, some portion of my money won't be. And that is fine with me. So you really have to think about what is going to work best for you and your lifestyle. Finally, if you want to sign up for a Roth 401k, you do need to talk to your employer. You have to make sure that the 401k plan that you have does offer a Roth 401k. And if it does, then you can go ahead and make the switch with your employer. If your company does not offer a Roth 401k, if your company doesn't even offer a 401k, or they don't do a match, or things are just going weird, you can take this into your own hands and you can open up a Roth IRA. The max for a Roth IRA is nowhere near as high as a Roth 401k. It's just $6,000 if you're under 50, and it's $7,000 if you're over 50. So it's not the same, but it's something that you can do to save for retirement in a post-tax way. And before I forget to mention, if you work for a nonprofit, you can do this as well with your 403b. They do have Roth 403b options. If you want to see more content on 401ks or IRAs, be sure to watch my playlist that's popping up on your screen right now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.